Tonight I'm joined by AJ Ford. He is the president of Cape Coral Pride, and we're talking about the effects that LGBT are facing over this gigantic hurricane that hit in the middle of last week. And before I begin with AJ, I want to read a statement that was given to Queer News Tonight from Jason Beckman. And Jason is a board member of Southwest Florida Pride. Remember, in Southwest Florida, approximately 83,000 LGBTQ residents live in Southwest Florida. And Jason, about the hurricane, in an interview with me yesterday, said, quote, "I made the decision to leave and find a flight out of Miami to Chicago. I can't live and work where there is no reliable internet, power, and water. The devastation in Southwest Florida is especially painful for me because I have worked for years on Sanibel Island for their Arts Center and Lee County's Tourism Bureau, marketing the beaches and islands to visitors. Seeing so much of these places just gone, disappeared in a day, is honestly unbearable. I'm still in shock. I really don't know that I even have the words of what the LGBTQ plus community has faced." Powerful words from Jason Beckman. AJ Ford, thank you for joining us tonight. You're president of Cape Coral Pride. You do a pride parade and festival. Do you agree with Jason's comments of the shock of what's happened?
Yeah, it's a bit chilling. I remember when I walked out my door after everything was said and done, the morning after, everything was just in disarray. And I never thought we would see something like that, especially in Cape Coral. Every single tree in my community, every single palm tree just almost eradicated. Every pool cage, we were lucky to live in a community where most of the houses are new construction. So a lot of these places are built to withhold like Category 4 or Category 5 storms. And we rode out the eye for hour after hour after hour. We were right on the wall as it was going through.
Tell me what that experience was like. I've been through many hurricanes in Florida, but this somehow seems very different to me. First off, the difference in the population center. A lot of people that are listening to you around the country don't realize the hurricanes that hit us in the Panhandle is a population of maybe 1 in 10 of what happened this week because of the size of Southwest Florida and then into Central Florida. Tell us what that was like as the hurricane began to approach. First off, were you shocked in that it was projected for days and days and days to go to Tampa, and then it started to turn and sharper turn?
Like Monday night, I still thought we were fine. I was under the illusion that it was still going to go north, and I kept saying to my friend, I was like, no, it's going to go Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Boca Grande, Tampa Bay area, and then it kept going more and more and more south, or projected more and east, more south, and I was like, Tuesday morning, we lost power at 9 a.m. and that never happens. So that was already
a full day and a half before the hurricane comes ashore.
No, Tuesday was it was Tuesday 9 a.m. when we lost power, and then Tuesday, was it 2 p.m.?
No,
Wednesday. Was it Wednesday?
A day and a half.
My days are all screwed up right now.
Right.
So Wednesday 9 a.m. we lost power.
Okay. All right.
And then Wednesday 2 p.m. is when the beginning of the eye wall started to hit.
Yeah.
And it battered us for 3 or 4 hours.
At Cape Coral with 150 mile an hour winds, a 7-foot storm surge, historic, never recorded as high a storm surge ever. We're seeing the pictures in Fort Myers Beach. The downtown area of Fort Myers Beach is, for all intents and purposes, gone, scraped off the face of the world. For LGBT, going through that time, so many LGBT, so many queer living in Southwest Florida, what was it like as the hurricane was going on? You're without power, of course, but what are you thinking as it's going on?
So like I said, I was pretty lucky to be in what felt like a concrete fortress, but the winds just kept picking up and getting stronger and getting stronger. And it was, the whistling got louder and louder and louder. And at the peak of it, it was a little terrifying. Like, my mother had made all of us huddle up in her bedroom where all the windows are boarded up. It was in a enclosed space. So if anything happened, she was preparing, like, for a tornado watch. Like, what if a tornado happened? We have to go into the stairs, that kind of thing. And we had heard that the storm surge could be, anywhere from 12 to 16 feet high at that point. They're like warning everybody. And even at 7 feet, like, we were lucky because our elevation is almost like 8 feet, which is a lot for Florida. Like, most of Cape Coral that had a lot of the storm surge is, almost below sea level.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about LGBT. It basically brings everything to do LGBT business owners, your bars. The Pride Center in Naples is flooded. Tell us about the effects that are going on in LGBT. As we're on the air right now, 500,000 are still reported without power in Southwest Florida. Tell us about the effects you think it's having on LGBTQ community.
Well, I mean, we won't know for a while. There's no power, there's no water, there's no communication. And I think that's...
Have you been able to communicate with your board, for example?
So we have a board of, we had a board of 7, now we have 6. One of our board members moved to Orlando and she's been constantly checking on all of us. But that doesn't mean those text messages are going through. And I think up until like yesterday or a day and a half ago, like, I couldn't even access most of the internet. Once I was able to finally, get on Google Maps, I could start finding gas, start communicating better. Like, the further away I got from Cape Coral, those lines of communication opened. But as far as the LGBTQ community, like, there are no resource centers for at-risk youth. There are no grief counselors. There are no counselors or for anybody to talk to. And even internationally or nationally, we have these numbers that are available to the LGBTQ community for resource counseling, but none of us can call. And there are no in-person resource centers. We don't have a resource center because we're a generally pretty new organization. So there's only so much we can do as well. Mm-hmm. We don't have like any,
I'm curious. Tell us a little bit about what the Southwest Florida community is. Generally, much more conservative. Mm-hmm. We're in South Florida, much bluer.
Yes.
You can't say that about Lee County and Collier County. It's a very conservative, red, Trump oriented community. So with 83,000 LGBTQ plus there and cut off because of this storm, it's really perilous in terms of the interaction and communication. Do I have that correct? Mm-hmm. Basically, yeah. Over the weekend, I was reading Eden Show Bar was able to open. I don't know what it is, but our gay bars seem to survive no matter what. They're like roaches. We can't be taken down. They fed people over the weekend and trying to keep spirits up. But what do you think is going to happen next? So we're sitting at 6 days. You still do not have power. What's going to happen next in Southwest Florida, do you think?
I mean, I think we're really going to start feeling the emotional effects and the mental effects, even though we'll have water and electric, or we hope. They say 95% of us will have electric by the 8th. That doesn't mean we'll all have water, and we're certainly on a boiling water notice until they're at their discretion.
Over the weekend, we realized that this was going to be a big event. We're broadcasting here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. Sunshine Cathedral is the largest queer church in the world, and they had 15 emergency requests over the weekend for water for Southwest Florida. 15 separate requests for emergency aid for water. So when you say we need water, it's a real need in Southwest Florida, just for water.
Yeah, I mean, I went 4 or 5 days without showering, and then our pool, luckily, at our house was pretty much like blue and clear and stuff. So I was like, I have to jump in. Like, I need to get all this off me. It was like, I felt disgusting. And like I said, there's still a boil water notice. You don't want residents showering in that really, or brushing their teeth with that, or you have to use bottled water, much like, everything that's going on in Flint, Michigan. So it's you can't even do your dishes. You can't do your dishes. So you can't expect people to be able to go to work, to function in society. A lot of these people's places of employment don't exist, like are just gone.
Yeah, and it's one of the big concerns that we have outside of the community. The number of jobs that are tied to hospitality and tourism that LGBTQ work in South Florida. Growing concern of where are they going to come back to work to, and what they're going to do for a paycheck, and the situation of the shock of all of this. Probably no one is even considering the ramifications of what's going to be next.
For months to come.
Yeah.
I have so many straight, gay, lesbian friends who worked on Fort Myers Beach who are bartenders, much like I am. It's my day job. They're bartenders, they're waiters, they're waitresses. They work in all sorts of different kinds of hospitality, and all of their jobs are gone.
You've come down here to South Florida, waiting on power restoration at your home. So you're able to watch reaction in LGBTQ community, not only here but around the country. How do you think the response to Southwest Florida's need has been so far?
I mean, it's wild. I had friends calling me from all over the country, checking in on me, like, are you okay? Are you alive? Because they were like, Cape Coral's in the headlines. Like, Cape Coral's underwater, Fort Myers Beach is gone, Sanibel's gone. Everybody was, sort of making sure I was okay. And it was very like weird, eerie. And to see the Army helicopters flying over and the National Guard flying over, like in my backyard, the National Guard set up a resource center to give out water, bottled water and ice to residents in Cape Coral. And the line was a mile long. But obviously there's lots of the National Guard set up over at in South Cape. They're out, like, it's awesome. I'm really happy that, the community's coming together, people are coming together to get us back on our feet.
Well, we for sure right out of the gate on our first available day to talk to AJ Ford, the president of Cape Coral Pride. Tomorrow, we give you the heads up, we're going to do an very in-depth story about what's happening to the LGBTQ community in Southwest Florida. We're just scratching the surface of the impact that this is going to have on 83,000 estimated LGBT that live in this community that don't have power, and they may not have jobs, and they may not have homes in terms of the effect. And we're going to be joined by Corey Crasium, the president of the Naples Pride Center, which was flooded, and them trying to get on their feet, still without power. Of course, AJ is going to be with us from Cape Coral Pride. Billy Mann, the owner of Eden Show Bar, is going to talk about the business community in Southwest Florida, the LGBTQ business community. The famous drag queen, Alyssa LeMay, is going to join us and talk about jobs and the need that's going to come next for LGBT working, especially in hospitality. And Rachel Cavallo, the publisher of Outcoast, which is the principal LGBT media for the region, is going to join us. Tomorrow in Queer News Tonight, we'll extensively report on what has happened and what is going to be next. It's very dire. Any final thoughts? Are you looking forward to getting home or not?
No, not at all.
It's just it's still a really tough situation.
Yeah.
I can feel it from you. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at Queer News Tonight as we explore what's going on in Southwest Florida in this dire emergency that has been caused by Hurricane Ian. Make sure you tune in.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.